Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. So good to have everyone
Hi.
here. We have Miss Ginger Fae and Farah from FarahWay Astrology and Tarot. And Farah is going to tell us what it's all about astrology-wise with our birth charts tonight. I'm really excited about this.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to have to talk real fast and tell you everything I know in less than 50 minutes.
Boy.
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I'm already there. Woo. This is so celestial. I love it. I'm excited. I am so excited for you to chat with us about this. And I was reading your name. Now that I see it in front of me, FarahWay Astrology. Makes sense.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
Well, we have got a lot of wonderful people with us. I want to welcome everyone. We have the first person who signed in is my son, Day Lee, and he left the sweetest comment, I thought. Then we have Scott from Scorpio Moon Tarot, and Ramon from Moon Scarab, Kristen Louise, Jackie Jacaranda, Maud Extraordinaire, Hershey, the Shadow Reader. So good to have you with us, Hershey. Miss Kulala's Mystical Musings. Carla is easier to say. Right.
No, I was thinking you over the weekend.
Janet Clark, Amanda Carroll, and Teresa Hallardren. So nice to have you all here. How many people have their charts with them, their birth charts?
Put your hands up. Put your virtual hands up.
Yes. Everybody's saying hello.
Well, Jane's here.
Oh, and Jane the Seeker is here. So good to have you, Jane. She has her chart.
I not only have my charts, but I brought that beautiful deck, Heavenly Bodies Astrology, because I'm going to start putting some houses in the planets and see if that helps me.
Well, yeah, I need all the help I can get.
Yes. Astrology is so fascinating and so, this is going to sound cliche, so vast.
So vast, yeah.
There's such a lot of information, and those of you, oh my gosh, who read astrology, I just send you many blessings, because what a wonderful gift to be able to share with us.
All right. Well, Amanda, would you like to do this, Farah?
That's a good question. I think the easiest, and I think the place we should start would be if somebody has a question, because they have their chart in front of them, and so they can ask questions about their chart. And, is there something that you are particularly interested in understanding a little bit more clearer, Perhaps?
Let's see. We've got Gerald with us.
Hey, Gerald.
Or I could just give you a basic rundown of what to look for in your chart. And I'll also start too with, so I could do both. I could either just start with like specific, people can ask questions, or I could give you a general thing to look at.
I would like to start with the general first, and then when we have questions, would that be okay with you, Nancy?
That's fine. And then Kristen,
just give us a little map first.
I'm going to keep Kristen's question up because she has a question, and we can do that after, and we'll just go down the line with the questions if that will be good. We can just start with the general.
You can start them as well.
Oh, how do I do that?
Oh, I'm not on it. There should be a little star by each other, like the right, left, upper corner. You see a little star there by Kristen
By their name?
on the chat, on the comments. There should be a star on the upper right hand corner next to people's names. Do you see it?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No, I don't see it.
Oh, well, I don't see it either since I'm a guest.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to that.
Do
How's
what's
that?
easy to you. Yeah, do what's easiest for you.
Okay. So it's all yours, Farah.
Okay, so let's start with general stuff. So the first thing is and I was telling this to Ginger, and I saw that who was it? I think Scott said this, that I think it was Scott. Somebody said that they had Kristen. Kristen said that she had the Sun, Venus, and Uranus all in Scorpio. And so if you have 3 or more planets, and I say the word placements because it could be the North Node, which is not a planet. If you have 3 or 4 things in one sign, that's called a stellium. STELLIUM. I'll spell it again. STELLIUM. And so when you have a stellium, that's a strong focus of your life, of your personality. So that is significant. And so that means Kristen, or I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. That means that she has a strong Scorpio, energy about her. And now, I think, Ginger, you were telling me that you have 3 in one sign and 3 in another sign.
Yeah, 3 in Cancer,
so somebody else,
3 in Virgo.
Yeah. Right, Cancer and Virgo. So if you have 3 and 2 signs, then it gets a little bit more complicated because we have to look.
I am complicated.
She just said a mouthful.
Somebody called me a paradox one time. Ginger, you're a paradox. This explains
the world is a paradox. So then you have to look, then it gets a little bit more complicated because you have to see which planet is in its exaltation,
right,
in its rulership, in its fall, in its detriment. And so that's where you talk to an astrologer.
Right.
I see Amanda has something. I'm going to get to you, Amanda, in just one second. Oh, well, let me just do that right now. Okay, so Amanda says she has Venus, Mercury, Mars in the 2nd house, all in Capricorn, otherwise Sag, Leo rising, Libra moon, curious about the Capricorn influence. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so in the 2nd house, this is our resources, our values, our money. And if you have an astrology deck, you can pull that card out and you can sit with it and think about it. Actually, you know what? I have cards and I have them all in order. So yay. But the thing is that with Venus is what we take pleasure in, what we love. So Amanda, this is what you love, and it's also Mercury is what you think about, and Mars is where you take action. And so all of this has to do about your resources, your value, your self-worth, all the things that you value, and it's all in a Capricorn sort of way. Structure, order, hard work, business minded, money oriented. There's a lot of words that can come with Capricorn. So now and it can also be, Capricorn also has to do with, it could do with father. So there could be something there with the father. And going back to that second house, this is where, this is where we think, we make our goal, these are our priorities. And so there's a lot of, hopefully that answers some of the things. It's basically I'm stumbling over my words. It's so hard when I can't get like a reaction out of you, but hopefully that makes sense. And then as far as the Leo rising, this means that people are going to see you as a Leo, and that Libra moon is going to be where you want to create good relationships, and have beauty and nice things, and but yeah, that sort of thing, if that makes sense. Absent father from the beginning. Oh, okay. So yeah, so maybe thoughts about the father, and there could be like it could have something to do with your self-worth and self-value, and then maybe making that cause you to be more hardworking. So something along those lines. But going back to the general until I get some questions pop up. The other thing too is that before we were talking, before we came on live, we were talking about there are a lot of astrologers. It's really easy to figure to look. If you take 2 minutes to look on YouTube or on the internet, you'll find lots of astrologers. And that's because it is nice to get, because people are going to point out and emphasize different things, so if that makes sense.
It does,
like
because, okay, no, you go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say that.
So people are going to point out different things.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
It does. Almost like a tarot reader.
Okay.
One could read the card one way, another tarot reader reads the same card a different way, but they all make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Amanda says it's all good. All right. Okay. So yeah. And so there's it also plays with each, obviously when people look at, and I did this too, when I first looked at the birth chart, you say, well, what am I supposed to focus on? So the easiest place to focus on first, and the place to start really, is your sun, your moon, and your rising. Those are called the big three. Sun, moon, and rising, because this is, your sun is who you are in your core, and also when you're in a stressful situation, you'll start to act like your sun. And when your moon is where how you act for your comfort, and what makes you feel secure, if that makes sense. And your rising is how other people perceive you. So, and that brings me to something else I said, that I was starting to say earlier, is that, there are a lot of different astrologers out there, because people are going to point out things in a different way, right? Mm-hmm. And for some people, and I'm going to pick on Miss Kulala's Mystical Musings, because she knows me and I know her pretty well. But so she resonates with real sky astrology more than Western astrology. And Western astrology is usually what I go to just because it's so common and so widely known in America.
Mhm.
Real sky astrology is is another type of language. And just as a review of what the difference is Western is going to is going to be focused on the sun and the equinoxes and the summer solstice, winter solstice, and it doesn't change every year. Real sky astrology is going to be focused on the constellations. So, for example, is there was a question or something? What about the houses? Oh, okay. I have my first, oh, and then someone asked about the houses too. Okay. So I have my first house sun rising Mercury in Pisces. My moon is in the 10th house in Sagittarius. Okay. Wow. Okay. So your first house is your identity, how you came into the world. And it's also how people your body, how people see you. So rising the rising sign and the first house are pretty much almost the same basically. Yeah, but so
I have a quick
and so
question.
that means people are going to see who she is in her thinking. Now, when I was talking before about how, fall, detriment, and exaltation and that sort of thing, for you, Michelle, I also have Mercury in Pisces. Mercury is in its fall. Yeah, I think it's in its fall or detriment in Pisces, which means Mercury is pretty weak in Pisces. So it's kind of scattered and dreamy and poetic and vague and unclear and but also creative and spiritual and it's hard to get the words out usually. And the moon being in the 10th house, and somebody had asked about the houses, so we'll review the houses as well. But so the moon in the 10th house of Sagittarius, 10th house is, now I said before, the moon is where your comfort is in her, the status in the public view, in showing freedom or truth or higher learning, or and 10th house can also be where you'll be known. And so yeah, so there's a lot that can be said on this, but so going back to the houses, basically let's start with what the houses are. Houses are the different parts of your life. And so your first house, to keep it simple, is your body and how people see you. Your second house is your self-worth, your self-value, your resources, your money, all of those types of things.
Mm.
Your third house is your thinking, your communication, your learning, mind stuff. Your fourth house is your home, your family. Your fifth house is your interest, your children, your hobbies, your romance, dating, that kind of thing. Your sixth house is your daily life, daily health, daily routine, your daily job, your pets. We have to, all of us who have or had pets
Fur
know that.
babies.
Yeah, you gotta take care of them every day. Um, and
Seven.
seventh house is your partnerships, whether they're intimate partnerships or business partnerships. Um, oh, I see Carla asked a question. Okay. Um, eighth house is all the things that are taboo or hidden or unspoken of. psychology, debt, loans, banks, sex, death. These things that people don't really talk about. The occult. Okay, so let me just stop with the 8th house for a second and talk about Carla's thing. So she wants to know, does the ascendant always sit in your first house? No, it doesn't. So, and some of you can see that when you look at your birth chart, there's like, it's like a bold line, a bold horizontal line. And it'll say something like capital A-S,
Would this be
A-S-C. What's that? Yeah, the bold line.
this
Yep.
is the bold line.
Yep. There's one going up and down, and there's one going across.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, so there's a bold line going up and down and horizontal across. So the one, and it's always, most of the time, I've never seen it any other way, it will sit on the left side, and it'll say something like ASC or something, and that's your ascendant. Sometimes the ascendant could be in the 12th house. Sometimes it can be in the 11th house. Sometimes it's in the first house.
So if I can ask, then your birth sign isn't always your first house? Or is it?
Right. Yeah. So, and some people have their sun in something strange like the 6th house.
Okay.
So
your first house is where the sun is.
Say that again?
Is the first house where the sun resides?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah. So here's the thing. You got to think about it like all of these, there's the houses that are stationary. Okay. The houses are stationary. The signs will rotate for each person. So, I'll have Aries in the first or the second or the third, and you'll have it in a different spot. So, oh geez. So it'll rotate. Oh, wait a minute. I actually have a thing. So I have this thing where it rotates.
Yes.
So and then also the planets will rotate.
Right.
So we've got 3 dials that are constantly rotating, if that makes sense. And
okay, my son
so that's
is in
why
my 7th house.
Yeah.
So it just depends, doesn't it?
Okay,
Just
so how?
right.
I know
Again,
everybody has this question. How do we find out what our first house is? I always thought, me being Cancer, my first house. Would that be the next sign?
So
Leo.
When you look at your birth chart,
Mm-hmm.
like closer to the center, usually it'll have a 1, 2. Oh, yours doesn't have it. Okay. Well, the first house is always the the first house is always that one on the left side.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? The left where it has right close. It'll usually be close to the ascendant.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No. I have different.
So here, I'll show you. Let me see. So here, the first house will always be on the left side.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then, because usually it should have like a number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, or close to the center. Like a good birth chart printout will have the numbers there for you. But if it doesn't, then you start here.
Okay. The first, like I'm Cancer, so the first one to my left, looking at my chart, would be Gemini.
So wait, let me look real quick. Your first house is, it looks like, hold that up again.
Nancy, can you take down the?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Can you hold that up again?
I am.
Okay, so your
There we
first
go.
house
Sorry.
is Taurus. It looks like, geez. Yeah, it looks like, it looks like Taurus. Unless, I wish sometimes they'll do it where they'll like completely reverse it, and they'll, instead of being on like the proper side, they'll flip it.
Mm-hmm.
So either your first house is Taurus, or does your paper also have a thing where it where it says like down below where it has first house, second house, third house? 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, it does not. Let me look at.
Okay. So Michelle said that she could download a free app called CoStar. That's a good point, Michelle. So you can, there are quite a few really good astrology places to get a good printout with lots of information.
This was Astrolab, by the way.
Okay. So
But let's not do Astrolab. They don't have numbers.
So I personally prefer AstroSeek.
Okay.
AstroSeek, SEEK.com. But I know that there are people that prefer astro.com.
Mm-hmm.
So both of those are very good, and will give tons of information. And they're both free. So that's nice. Yeah. And since like the other thing that I wanted to, let's go back to the houses because I got sidetracked.
Yeah.
So I was talking about death and sex and all things taboo and forbidden to talk about. Does that include politics? It should include politics nowadays too, huh? Is that forbidden to talk about?
And religion.
And religion.
Go
Should I
for
not
it.
talk
Go
about
for
politics? Okay. But so let's go to the ninth house. So the ninth house is where we connect to source, higher self, the divine, God, whatever you, goddess, whatever you want to choose. And it's also, so it's all things that are global thinking, higher thinking, including foreign travel. And the reason why it also includes foreign travel is because they needed to put these mundane things in a house, if that makes sense. So the 10th house is our status, our public recognition, our fame, and or our career. And our 11th house is our groups, our friends, our hopes and wishes. The 12th house are things that are also hidden, but it's where we hide, or it's our dreams, it's our sleep, it's our mental health, hospitals, things that even self-sabotage. So yeah. So those are the houses.
Can I ask you a question, Farah?
Yeah.
In my ninth house, that's what we're talking about right now, right?
Yeah.
Ninth house. It says Cancer and Vertex. What is Vertex?
So vertex is something that people don't, and I just see it on astroseek.com, so I just put that in there. So it's I it's hard to describe, but it has to
It
do
means you're
with
very
fate.
special. Oh, fate.
And
You are
Fate.
very special.
yes, fate. Yeah,
Fate.
fate and
Okay.
destiny.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, and so yeah, it's kind of hard to describe, but
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. That's good enough. Thank you.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
thing that I did want to mention
So
that I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle, back when everybody was talking about the different things they had in different houses, or Jane the Seeker said she had 6 in Pisces.
Yes, I meant to bring that up.
Yeah, I didn't. I just thought I'd
wow.
mention that because that seems really amazing to me. I mean, and I don't really know much about it, but it sounds, you know.
I remember her saying that a long time ago too.
Yeah.
6.
We are in the Scorpio season right now. And if that, I've never heard of anybody having 6 things in Scorpio. Let's talk about Scorpio because we all have it in our birth chart. We all
Okay.
have the Scorpio in our birth chart, and that is the place where things can get intense. Things can be transformed, or we feel transformed by it. Oh, Michelle, oh, I'm so glad you went to AstroSeek. I'm such a fan of AstroSeek. So it is the place where we feel transformed. It's also a place where we can go to extremes and get things become intense. And we want to dive deep because Scorpios dive deep. It is it can be very powerful. There can be power struggles there with whichever place, wherever you have Scorpio, you know. Scorpio, now the thing is with let me see, I wanted to find the thing. So all of these things, there's just layers upon layers upon layers. And so one of the things is that Scorpio rules the part of the body for elimination, like kidneys, and it also rules reproductive systems, you know. And it is for, let's talk for everybody right now, because we're in Scorpio season, and as a collective we might feel very intense, you know. It might feel like, you know, and we also have Mars right now. When you look at your chart, the planets are what's happening, the house is where it's happening, the sign is how it's happening. Absolutely 100% yes. Thank you, Janet, for bringing that up. Absolutely. That's so important to know. Yeah. That is the best way to describe it. And so the only other thing that I'll add to that is that we are not bound by our birth chart. We can look to the opposite side of the circle to find kind of a balancing something, a way to balance maybe, you know, an area or an energy that might be a little too much, right? For example, for example, if I'm gonna just use me as an example because I don't want to pick on anybody, right? But I have a lot of Gemini energy, and so that means that I need to go to the opposite end, which is Sagittarius, to balance out this intense Gemini energy. Or another way to look at it is if you look at your house, and let's say there is something going on with, I don't know, we've been talking about the second house, the house of money, self-value, self-worth, resources. The way to balance, and if there's maybe some issue there, one of the ways is to look to the opposite house, go directly across the circle and what's happening over there, which would be the 8th house of other people's money. What is hidden? What is mysterious? Debts, loans, banking. Yeah. So that's one way. And then the second thing that I'll mention too is that because Nancy put our evolving paths, we have all of these signs in our chart. This is a little bit like the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot, because at the very center of the wheel is the center. And this center point is the center of our being, where the eye of the storm, right? Because I know I'm not the only one that is feeling all this intense energy.
Yes.
And it's coming back to that center to be like, I'm not who I'm actually arguing against astrology right now because I'm not what I think. I'm not the thoughts in my head. I'm not what I love. I'm not I'm not my family. I'm not my job. I'm not my children. I'm not what my brain says. I'm something deep rooted, peaceful, grounded, centered, that is always been there, right? So that's always something important to keep in mind as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And so when I was going back to, and these are things that I'm telling you that are kind of like esoteric, hidden kind of things that you're not going to find in a deck of cards, because usually, and hey, I love a good deck of cards, and I think it's a really, really good way to learn astrology, because you can say, well, I have, like Janet said, I have maybe my sun in Cancer in the first house. Well, then you pull out the first house, you pull out Cancer, and you pull out the sun, and you sit and you meditate with all three of those, which I highly suggest doing, And so yeah. And what else? What else do I want to tell you? So yeah, things about that are esoteric. So before, when I was saying that there's these different types of languages, right? There, for example, Western, I am a Aries, and Taurus. But in real sky, I'm a Pisces, Aries. Now there's something else that I've been diving into lately, which is esoteric astrology. Esoteric astrology will talk about how certain planets are sacred. In other words, they've evolved and they have become high on a higher plane, where as some planets are not evolved yet. And for example, Mars is a non-sacred planet. Earth is a non-sacred planet.
Go figure.
But go figure, right?
Yeah.
And there's also a planet in esoteric astrology called Vulcan. And I was doing some study on this yesterday. Vulcan is a planet that we cannot see. It lives in another dimension, so to speak. And it sits between the sun and Mercury. But you know what? I'm going off on a tangent. Let's go back to birth charts because that's why we all came here.
Tangents are good though.
Do you know
Yeah.
what you've been talking about? I have astrology decks like the deck that Ginger showed. I will be able to better use those now, because before I had these cards. I mean, I didn't know what to do with them, you know?
It's been very helpful so far.
Thank you so much. And Fatima is with us.
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
Ange here. I didn't see you pop in.
Okay. Oh. So I see a question. How, Ange, how does a planet evolve and when is it considered sacred? Short answer, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know who decides and how it was decided and all the things, but yeah. Sorry, I can't give you an answer for that yet. I'm just starting to learn it. But yeah. So yeah, going back to the birth chart. Now, one of the things is don't look at your birth chart and see a big gobbledygook of mess. Okay. What the best way to look at it is to say, well, what catches my eye? If I have a cluster over here and that catches my eye, spend time on that little cluster. Okay. If say, I'm very interested about my career. Well, then go to the 10th house or the 6th house, work and 10th house of career, and spend time there. Don't try to read the whole thing all at once, if that makes sense. And the other thing too, with all of the lines that are in the middle, it looks like a spider web. So again, don't try to look at all of the lines in the middle and try to understand all of it at once. Now, what I do like about AstroSeek is that it color codes the good aspect, quote unquote good aspects, or easy or helpful aspects, and so those will be blue, and the quote unquote difficult or challenging ones will be red. And so you can say, well, I see, that, and those lines are right. And you can, and what those lines are doing is saying that I am being, my moon, my heart, where I'm comforted, or how I'm comforted, works well with my thinking, perhaps, right? Because maybe there's a blue line, or perhaps my moon doesn't, my heart, my feelings, where I'm comforted, does not work well with my thinking, perhaps. So yeah, and you, if you start to look with all of the astrologers, this is what they do. They'll focus in on one thing and pay attention to that for a little while.
Yes.
and meditate on that, and not look at the whole picture as a whole, because looking at it as a whole, it's a lot. And it's like, well, how can I possibly put this all in one sentence? I can't, you
Yeah.
know, if that makes sense. Yeah. So what else can I tell you? Of course, the transits, the things that are happening right now in the sky is going to affect you. If you do decide to, listen to a horoscope, listen for your rising sign, your ascendant. Rising, ascendant mean the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look for that, because this is how you're interacting with people, you know. And what else? Oh, let's talk about the North Node and the South Node, because that is something that, is important. So usually the South Node is a little bit like the moon. It's what we do things automatically. It's our unconscious behavior. I wake up in the morning and I grab my phone and check social media. That's an unconscious behavior, right? So
Okay.
so
Talk about unconscious behavior. My camera just started recording backwards.
Oh, goodness.
interesting.
It said recording pause, but here it was written backwards. Oh my, I didn't even touch my camera. It's a weird thing's been happening. Let me ask, in
That's
this
so
cute little
weird.
deck, this says South Node destined to release. What did you say South Node was?
Okay, so I said that it's things that we do unconsciously.
Okay.
Okay.
It is things that we do without thinking about it. So when your card says it's destined to release, it means that I need to move away from this habit, right?
Okay.
I need to, in order to grow, in order to evolve, in order to become more of who I could be, should be, potential, higher self, evolve. I move from the south to the north, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Then the North Node
which is
consciously.
not easy.
Right.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. And it's really difficult, because looking at your South Node in your chart, you'll see like, yeah, I do that. I do that. Yeah, maybe I do that too much. maybe I could let go of that. So and moving to the North Node. So, that's a really helpful thing to consider on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And it's basically it's pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, So by the way, I want to give a shout out. To Miss Kulala's Mystical Musings. If you're interested in learning more about who you are and where your potential is, where you are, what you've done with your potential, she knows palmistry. And you can photograph your palm, send it to her, and she'll do a reading for you. So
that's neat.
that's another way of looking at who. What's that?
I said that's neat.
Yeah. So she.
Yeah, I went to send
so that's
mine
another way
a
of
year ago, I think. Send mine back.
Oh, did you get a palm reading?
No, she and I were chatting, doing some play dates, and probably a year ago, and I forgot to send her my picture of my palm. I need to send my palm picture
Oh,
there.
okay. Oh, okay. 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 Yeah. So yeah, it's true that many charts give free natal birth charts. And so, you know, and one of the reasons, especially as like a newbie, as a beginner, when I was first learning this, you know, I was trying to get all the information that I could, right? So I'm going to give away my secrets. And, you know, when I got to AstroSeek, it literally, and Nancy knows about this because Nancy and I have talked about AstroSeek and looking at all the information. It will give
I'm
a
there right
little.
now, actually.
Oh, okay.
Now I see
It
all the
will.
numbers you were talking about.
Yeah, it will give
Okay.
all of the, like, it'll give a written explanation of every it'll give a written explanation that is easy to understand. Now, do I agree with all of their explanations? No, but they're not wrong either, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't word it that way, but it's not
Mhm.
wrong either. So and the other thing too is that another one of my secrets is that I'm not reading books all the time. Sometimes I'm scanning the internet for information. And one of the ways that I scan information is through Pinterest.
Oh.
Pinterest is free. It has a lot of um, information on astrology. So, for example, the person's moon is in Libra. You could literally type in moon in Libra on Pinterest, and you will get dozens of pieces of information.
Wow.
And if you're like me,
Hmm.
if you're like me and like to multitask and look at two things at once,
Like me.
you know, I'll sit there and I'll watch a YouTube video and I'll have Pinterest up at the same time, and I'm doing both things at the same time. So, you know, I'm collecting information and I'm listening and I'm going back and forth. So, you know, when you study your own birth chart and grab and start to learn about yourself, you'll automatically be able to learn how to look at your family's birth chart or your friend's birth chart,
Mhm.
which is nice because it just translates over. So another thing too is that what is really fun that I found recently is that there is an app called Sky Guide,
Oh.
and I got it. So I have Apple products. I don't know how it works for Android, but
Mhm.
it might work for Android as well. I'm not sure, but it's called Sky, SKY, uh, Guide, GUIDE. And it's a really fun way to look. It's like basically having a planetarium on your screen, and you can see all of the planets and all of the constellations. And then it also has some articles, and it'll tell you about some what's it called, you know, it'll give you like what monthly things that you might, you know, there might be some shooting comets or falling stars or, you know, meteor
Ah.
showers or something. So it's just a fun way to look at to play around with the astronomy and the astrology, that kind of thing. So yeah, let's go back to the birth chart thing. So now uh I really think that all of you guys that are here, you guys are getting an amazing opportunity to ask questions and learn, because normally, oh wait, she also uses Sky Tonight. Oh, okay, I'm gonna have to check that. Michelle said she also uses Sky Tonight. I'll have to check that out. So I think this is an amazing opportunity to learn, to ask questions, because normally what will happen is that there are most astrologers will make you pay $50, $100 to take an astrology class. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to pay $50, $100 for an astrology class. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. And what else can I tell you? Let's see. So let's talk more about detriment and fall and exaltation, because we mentioned that a little bit. Just because you have a planet in, maybe I'm going a little too much, but we'll see. Let me stop me if I'm getting too much. You guys will stop me, right?
Well, what might make sense to, like, say Nancy and we might be at the same, not be at the same level as some who understand it a little more. So I'd say keep going. Because, keep going.
Okay.
And if anybody has any further questions, please pop them in the comments, and I'll put them up for Farah.
Yeah. So now the thing is, another thing that's interesting to think about is that if, like, again, using myself as an example, if I have Mercury in Pisces, Mercury does not feel comfortable. And a good way of looking at the planets as kind of like as people, what would, Mercury is, say this person, and it's like, oh, it doesn't feel comfortable in Pisces because it would rather be at home in maybe Gemini or Virgo, right? So, so there is, and I guess I'll just show you just what. So there are different, what is it called? Different places where the planets feel comfortable and where they don't feel comfortable, where they're powerful and where they're not powerful. So up here, let's see. Can you see that?
Nancy, can you embiggen her?
Yeah, let me, no, wait a minute. Solo layout.
I'm so confused.
There we go. There you are.
Okay. So let me get center. There we go. All right. So when the planet is in dignity, that means that's in its home planet. It rules that. So the sun rules Leo. Okay. So it's extremely strong. And the sun is not strong or in detriment in Aquarius. Exaltation is like being in dignity. It also works well. Fall means that it does not work well. So, these are now you can find this online. Oh, geez. Yeah. You can find this online. And just because, for example, take me, for example, just because I have Mercury in Pisces does not mean I'm doomed, right? Because that's the thing. Does not mean I'm an idiot, right? I'm not completely, fated to be stupid.
My goodness.
It just means that my way of thinking is different, and I have to work with that. So that's another okay, I'm going to take that down. So that's something that's another reason why looking at your birth chart, even if because I'm going to be 50 in a couple of months, and I wish I would have had
Beautiful.
this. I wish my parents would have had this when I was born, You know, I wish I would have learned about this sooner, like some astrologers who are learning this in their teens or in their 20s.
Yes.
But even at 50, you know, I can still make the most of this. I can
Mhm.
still use this to my advantage, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. Um and it also helps me understand uh when people see me, how do they see me, and then I can understand how am I interacting, and you know, with whatever, even if I only had, you know, knock on wood, even if I only had 5 years or 1 year left to live, I can still go to that north node. I can still be who I'm meant to be, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Janet says, oh, I love this. Okay. So Janet says the new moon Monday in Scorpio. Find Scorpio in your chart. See which house this is affecting. The new moon is a beginning. Yes. Yes. Definitely. The fourth house is roots and family. Definitely. Absolutely. So now people who have studied things about the moon know that new moons is setting intentions, and full moons is about letting go. One of the things that I'm going to say is slightly controversial is that, you know, I hear people saying, oh, because the new moon is in Scorpio, that means, you know, uh, it's going to completely be different. Your life is going to be completely different in X, Y, and Z way. I wouldn't agree with that. Or maybe you should, you know, completely do things completely different. You know what I mean? I think
Mm.
even a little tweak here and there is fine enough. Hopefully, I'm not alone in that thinking. You know. So, but let's say for everybody, because the new moon is in. Thank you, Janet, for bringing that up. So, because the new moon is in Scorpio, um, that means, and your birth chart is going to be affected too. For example, if I have the new moon in Scorpio here, which is everybody, right? But my birth chart's moon, which it is in the opposite of Taurus. That means that they are not working well together because they're on opposite ends. It's like tug of war. So,
Okay, let me see here
but
on
it could.
mine. Let's see. I'm a Scorpio rising. So
Mhm.
I'm looking to see what's opposite that. In the first house, that would be, would that be the seventh house is the opposite or the eighth house?
Yes.
The seventh
Seventh.
house?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
my seventh house. Oh, there's Taurus, yeah, with Mercury and the Sun. Hmm.
Okay, so this is where, you know, it takes a little bit of intuition, because to be perfectly honest with you guys, astrology is a bit about following the rules, but also a little bit about using your intuition. And you can be your own astrologer, for
Mm.
example, meaning that it's kind of like when you pull a tarot card. When you pull a tarot card and say you pull the sun and the two of wands, for example, right? If you pull the sun and the two of wands, you know what the definition of the sun is. You know what the definition of the two of wands is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you just start to play with that a little bit, and you start to use your intuition a little bit. And you're like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I know what the sun is. It's optimism, it's happiness, it's good things, it's a nice time, you know, being in the light or whatever. And I know two of wands is like contemplation, so you know, okay, you know, that sort of thing. So it's similar in that way. So when you say, okay, so I have the moon is going to be in Scorpio in my first house, but I have the sun and Mercury in Taurus. So, well, if the moon is going to be in my first house, and moon has to do with feelings, and Scorpio is intensity or extremes or psychology. Maybe I might be a little bit more intense, but because it's opposite of thinking, maybe it's not going to play well with my thinking. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so this the what they say is like, it's kind of like reading the weather. If you know that it's going to rain tomorrow, maybe you put on a rain jacket and you're just a little bit more careful, right, with your plans.
Right, right.
Okay, so if I may ask, so I'm in reading Janet's comment, find Scorpio, that's on your birth chart, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's in my 7th house, so that means this new moon will be affecting my 7th house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so when it says a new moon and beginnings, maybe for everybody, that house where you have Scorpio, you say, you know what? I want to improve this part of my chart, this part of my life I want to add something new to this part of my life. And I want to create something new in this part of my life.
Does this mean I might meet someone? I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Possible. It's possible. Yeah.
Like I ever go out to meet someone.
That brings up a really good point too, because they'll say that too. They'll say, just because it says you have a good opportunity here, you can't just hide under the covers.
Right.
It's like you can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And Michelle, you're funny. She has Scorpio in her Mianus.
Well,
I think this has been wonderful. Does anybody else have any questions for Farah? Farah, I bought this book that you recommended by Roy Gillett, and I am really enjoying it.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful, but I can sort of understand it, and if I take little sections at a time and apply it to my chart, rather than trying to do the whole thing, that's very good advice. And I'm looking forward to using my astrology decks now. Yeah. Because I've seen people talking about them and everything, and I thought, well, how do you figure that all out?
Yeah.
I have 3 questions.
Okay. All right, you go, girl.
I don't know if we've talked about it because I was on the AstroSeek trying to get my chart from them. I have sextile, trine, and square. So I just want to know how accurate this deck I have. So sextile, it says a combination of tension and flow, potential and rewarding situations. Is that accurate or close to being accurate for what sextile means?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say a more simple way of saying that. It's a helpful situation. It's a helpful energy. It's not the best energy. It's not just here, I give you everything and make it super easy for you, but it's helpful.
Right. Okay. So when something's in sextile, I see the little this thing.
Yes. So, yeah, that little.
So on my chart, I would look for that squiggly thing in here somewhere. Is that
Right.
what that is?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, let me
'Cause
look
I
at your
get
chart
this,
here for a
I get the
second.
trine and I get the square. I'm looking for triangles and squares, right?
Yeah. Well, here, go put your chart back up on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. So the short blue lines, are the sextiles.
Okay.
Do you see the short blue lines?
I do.
Those are all sextiles.
I see. I see. Okay. So does
Yeah.
that mean what's sextiling there?
Sex. Let me see.
Is that
What is
Cancer,
sextile?
Cancer, Taurus, and
Like, yeah, but it's very specific to the planets.
the planets? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So whatever planets are within that sextile.
Like they're very specific. The plant, like it's a very exact line from one planet to another planet, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay. You know what I did, and the reason why this is hard to find is I enlarged the smaller version of it, and that's why it's all blurred out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
And so just as a quick, and then I'll get to Michelle's question. So I'm sorry about Uranus because I'm not a proctologist, so you have to see a doctor for that. Sorry. Anyway, but just a quick thing. So when the long Ginger, when you look at the long blue lines, those are trines.
Okay. Okay.
Trines are extremely easy and are, they're almost too easy.
Okay.
It's like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like going to the grocery store and just getting food whenever you want. It's like so easy, you take it for granted. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Squares are when you. Sorry, Nancy. I'll try to I'll try to cut off.
Oh
as soon as
no,
I can.
I'm good. I'm listening. I was looking at my notes. I've got copious notes.
Okay.
Nancy said copious.
Copious.
Squares are butting heads.
Okay.
Yeah, and those are the short red lines. Do you see the short red lines?
Boy, do I.
Yeah, those are butting heads.
Oh
It's
my
like
gosh.
disagreements.
Right.
And now, as a caveat for the squares, because you're not alone, everybody's got squares. Some of the most successful people
Well, I mean, look how many squares I got. Right?
Stop it. Stop it. No, it's not that unusual. Some of the most successful famous people have squares. It's just the best way I can describe a square is that if I have a vegetable garden, okay, if I have a vegetable garden and the animals are eating my vegetables all the time, it's butting heads. It's a disagreement.
Right.
Don't touch my vegetables. They eat my vegetables. So I got to work hard to find a solution.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
And then the long, that's the best example I can think of.
Yeah, I know.
Right
I
now.
love it. I love it.
Okay, don't touch my vegetables, but I want your vegetables. Okay, so, and then the long red lines are oppositions. And so an opposition, think of it like an old-fashioned teeter-totter, seesaw.
I remember those.
Yeah, those seesaw. It's like
Fell off.
sometimes you can be too much on one side, sometimes you can be too much on the other side, and you're constantly trying to balance the two.
Okay. Teeter totter.
Yeah.
I like that analogy. I'm putting it down.
So let me go back to Michelle. She said she has 8 mutable. What does that mean? Okay, so that's a really good point. And she also says, remember, we all have squares. Yes. So that's another really good point, Michelle. Thank you for bringing that up. So there are 3 types of energies in astrology. Cardinal, that means you're starting something. You know, you're a starter. You're initiator. Fixed energy, stubborn, doesn't want to change, likes things the way they are. Mutable is where you just kind of go with the flow and more easygoing. Okay. Now the thing is none of these are bad and none of these are good. They just are what they are, right? And so a really helpful thing to think about is that once you know your sun sign, for example, I'm going to use me as an example. I'm an Aries, right? Mm-hmm. An Aries in Western is Pisces in real sky, right? But let's just say I'm an Aries, okay? So Aries wants to start things. Start, keep going. Oh, geez. Okay. All right. I just read Janet's comment. But so
Aries
it is true. Some people are given a very Aries is a cardinal sign. Yeah.
So 2 cardinals.
So yeah. So there are 4 cardinal signs in the chart. They are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Those are the 4 cardinal signs. Now, knowing that I'm a starter and I can see how that played out in my life, right, means that to evolve, I need to start pushing myself to the next phase, which is fixed. You know, to be more settled and more less changeable, right? If someone was fixed, they need to become more mutable. So that sort of thing. Now, the fixed signs, and you see this in the tarot has it on the world card. Yeah, and that is the Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, and what's the other one? Taurus. So, and then there are the 4 mutable signs, and that is Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius. And then you can also look at your family and your friends and go, oh,
what were the fixed
now
signs
I know
again?
why they act like that. Now I get it.
What were the fixed signs again?
The fixed signs are Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio. And you can see it on the tarot as the lion, the bull, the angel, and the eagle.
Oh, wow.
So on the bottom of this printout of mine, it says signature sign, and then it has MOD, and then it has what? It says 4 cardinal, 5 fixed, and 1 mutable. Is that me?
Yes. Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm available to everybody, listening. You can go to my channel or, find my email, whatever. And you can email me and I'll do a birth chart for you in Western, or if you're interested in real sky, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, Nancy, AstroSeek will give you that part of it that I gave you.
Uh-huh.
It gives you like a overview, like a generalization of you, who you are. And so
I am
where if it
fiery.
yes you are. Yes you are. So it gives you a generalization. If we were to take all of those pieces of information and just boil it into a nutshell, that's you in a nutshell.
She is
That
a
would be like
nutshell.
the Leo signature. Is that what that is?
Yes.
My mother was a Leo.
But does it, I mean, and listen, for everybody, take this or leave it. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. But do you see that Leo energy in you? Do you see that that bold, that kind of big heart and generous nature? Do you see all of these types of things in you?
Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, this a lot of this is very, very spot on. Um, when I think of fiery, I think of somebody that has a temper, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me to get really angry. But when I do, it's something to behold.
Wouldn't you say someone who has fiery energy is someone who's very passionate? Very,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the suits, it's passionate, it's creativity, it's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you both bring up a really good point, because there can be like a stereotypical connotation to something, and then there can be a more nuanced look at something, and there can be like a higher expression and a lower expression.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mutable Pisces, but so stubborn I should be fixed. Interesting. Interesting. I would love to look at your chart.
So I have a question.
So
I'm on the what's it called? Astro Seeker.
yes,
Down at the very
sorry.
bottom, it says elements: 8 times fire, 13 times water, 14 times earth, 2 times air. Does that mean that's how many water signs? Do you know what that is?
Well, it sort of. It's taking all of these things into consideration. It's taking this, because all the signs have
They're
an
elements.
element.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the planets also have an element. And the houses also have an element, but that's
Okay.
like getting more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that the big takeaway when you go to AstroSeek and you see that part where it says 5 times, whatever times
Yeah.
Earth, whatever times, it's showing you, do you have a lot of air element? Do you have a lot of fire? Do you
I
have
could
a
be
lot of
airheaded.
water? What's that?
I said I could be airheaded sometimes.
Stop it. It also means you're very mental too.
It just means I'm getting older too.
And I don't mean it in a bad way.
The other day at work, I'm just color me blonde. All right.
Stop it.
Oh, so this is
Yeah.
also
So
fascinating.
Yes, it is. It is.
We can
It's
do
like
a part
whole
2,
new
part
world,
3.
It
yeah.
really is.
So I see tarot your way, and she talks about Pisces, Leo, and Cancer moon.
Mhm.
So interesting.
Yes,
So what that tells me,
that's
what's that?
Thomas. That's Thomas.
Oh,
He and
okay.
Hershey, the shadow reader, do a lot of readings together.
Oh, okay. So that's so interesting, because that tells me a lot, because it tells me that you know, when push comes to shove, you're going to be you're going to have a very possibly a very fiery, fixed way of expressing your and Leo has a lot to do with family, right? A very passionate, almost like, you know, the lion, but at the same time too, um ca- def- Cancer also has to do with family and very motherly, and and
Affectionate?
um and home oriented and comfort oriented. Pisces, Pisces and Cancer is watery, and so, you know, that Pisces nature is sensitive. So is Cancer, really.
I'm very
Yeah, there's just so
sensitive.
much.
Okay. So,
Well,
You know, each one. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, so like, not only it does is each thing you know, mutable, cardinal, or fixed, but then all of these signs are either in traditional astrology, they're either masculine or feminine. The
mhm.
teapot can simmer for a long time, but when it's boiled, yep, uncontrolled anger. Thomas, I get that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Mm.
There's that Leo energy. That's so Leo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's emotional, very emotional too. Now the thing is that we've all learned to, especially as adults, we've learned to be a little bit more careful with our emotions, be a little bit more careful what we say, you know, things like that. Careful what we think. But going back to our childhood, you can really see that, you know, before we had to learn how to adapt to the world, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that all of these signs are either in traditional astrology considered masculine or feminine too, which is very interesting.
Hmm.
So, Thomas, we'll go back to you, because I'm tired of talking about my own birth chart. But so uh, I think, let me double check. I can't remember exactly. I gotta look. Um, I think Leo's yeah. Cancer is feminine. Pisces is feminine, and Leo is masculine. So I'm not saying you know, it's not to say that, well, you know, you act like a girl. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we've got to look a little bit more broader. What does masculine energy entail? What does feminine energy entail? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Being receptive or assertive or ambitious, or, you know, these types of things, you know? So, yeah. And I was sort of alluding, sitting here with a friend who admitted. Oh, so Thomas, you're saying you're sitting here with a friend admitted into hospice care.
Oh.
I thought it would be a fight, but he's very relieved that he won't be alone. So Pisces, so Cancer. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sensitive. Yeah. Sensitive, motherly, you know. And
Yeah.
that makes me also think of too, because the thing is that we you know, all of these, I've sort of alluded to this, but each sign rules a different house and a different planet. So obviously Aries rules the first house, and Taurus rules the second house, and that sort of thing. But let's look at the planets. So Nancy, you're going to have to tell me to stop talking at some point.
Well, I mean, is everybody? I mean, I'm enjoying this very much.
Yes. Yes.
And I, love to your friend Thomas.
Yes.
You're a good friend. That's wonderful.
Okay,
But
so I mean, quick question. Well, they're all quick questions, but the answers might be longer. Okay, they talk about Aries being the first house. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. But
right.
I'm still kind of lost on because I was looking at my astrology chart from Astro Keep, and it talked about Aries being my first house. But when I look at the chart and we talked about it, Aries is not my first house. So how do you figure that?
Do you have two different charts?
I'm looking. Okay, no. Well, when I go to Astro Keep, they're very, very.
Oh, wait. Hold on
Okay.
1 second.
You understand me
okay.
now.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
Aries is the first house.
Usually, okay. Let me. So here's the thing. AstroSeek will go to the Placidus house system first.
Okay.
And when I was looking at your chart, Placidus house system means that it's going to, again, it's going to kind of mix up the things. It's not going to match up perfectly.
Right.
Whole house system is going to match up the sign and the house perfectly.
Okay. All right. So is that an option on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm gonna go to AstroSeek, and I'm gonna show you guys.
Yeah, because.
Okay. So let's see here.
My ascendant is in Aries, but that doesn't necessarily make it my first house.
Right.
Okay. So where do you? Yeah. So show us, where do you change the Placidus to?
Yeah.
Whole house, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you real quick.
Whole house. So
okay.
We need to be looking at our whole house.
This is just some random thing that I pulled up, right?
Okay.
Okay. Just some random chart.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath the chart, you're gonna see extended settings. Do you see extended settings?
Okay. Underneath the chart.
Extended it's settings. Going to have this
okay.
thing. It's
house system.
Yeah.
Yes.
So house system, and then you see the house system, right?
Yeah. So I hit the house system.
And now you hit whole sign.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
And then redraw.
Oh, hello. It's I swear Mercury retrograde's hit me already. Okay, it says well, when I hit on whole sign, it doesn't let me choose it. It says whole sign.
It doesn't let you choose it?
Wait. Okay, it says whole sign 0 degrees each. So I hit.
You hit whole sign.
Oh, Michelle, there you go.
Hey, Heather.
Yes, Heather is with us.
Okay.
Maybe we could talk after the chat, and we could figure it out.
Yeah, because it says whole sign, 0 degrees each, and then it goes through all the signs. So would I hit Cancer as my 0 degrees because I'm
Oh,
a
I see.
Cancer?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see what. No, I see what you're saying. Okay, you hit. Okay, you went too far on that screen.
Oh, okay.
Go up the
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
It'll say Placidus
Oh, I see it. I see it.
cut
Gotcha. Got it. Found it.
equal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Now the thing is that again, there's. I'm gonna say the thing that's kind of again kind of controversial,
Mhm.
because astrology is a little bit like religion, because some people say you're supposed to use Placidus. And other
Uh-huh.
people are like, no, you're supposed to use whole sign. Some people are supposed, some people say you're supposed to use Vedic astrology. No, you're supposed to use. So,
Right. Right. Whatever
do you
calls.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But the whole sign makes
Redraw.
it
Okay.
more simple, because we want to start simple and then move our way to more complicated things.
Okay. I have more things in my chart this way. I love it.
Ooh,
Well, I say
Michelle
that
gave me her
because
stuff.
up here I have nothing up here. But when I go on to AstroSeek, I have things up here.
Excellent,
So I thought, oh my God, I have
excellent point.
nothing going
Let's
on.
talk about
8 to 11, I have nothing going on in the 8 to 11th houses here. But when I go on to AstroKeep, we have
excellent
some.
point.
Okay. I have things. Oh, I feel like I'm somebody now. I'm not missing. I'm not missing things.
Excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up, Ginger. So
Okay.
it's common for people to have nothing in a house.
Okay.
That's not a bad thing. It just means that it might not be a very active part of your life, or it might not be a very big priority in your life.
Where's my houses?
Or something along those lines. But
Right.
again, this is the birth chart you were born with.
Uh-huh.
You decide how far you want to push yourself in different. So it's just, this is the program what
Yeah.
you were given at birth, and then you
Yeah.
decide where you want to go, because you have free will, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But Michelle gave me her information. Thank you, Michelle. Let's look at her stuff.
Yeah.
Um, let's let's I'm going to pull up her chart,
Okay.
and we're going to read her chart. What did it say? March something or other, right? It is March 12th. March 12th. Do you know I was supposed to be born? I was 10 days late. March 12th. What year is it? Year. Dang it. Where'd it go? Year 1997? Is that when it was? 77. Ooh, you're the same age as my sister. 77. What time? That brings up another point. If you don't know your time, usually what people say is just put 12 o'clock noon. So again, if you don't know your time,
3
you
weeks
usually.
late. My goodness.
What'd you say?
Michelle was 3 weeks late.
All right. Where is she born? She's born in La Mire, California. Is that where she's born?
Was it La Mirada?
What did she say? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, La Mirada.
Yeah.
I only knew that because I lived near there.
Okay. So I'm going to use, whole house systems. Okay, good. All right. So let's take a look at her birth chart. All right. Thank you, Michelle, for sharing this. Now, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. The first thing we would do is we would go to the first house, which is,
Nancy,
it
can you
has
biggen her again?
in the
Pardon me?
inner,
Can you bigger
in the,
her again?
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
oh geez.
Solo layout. There you are.
Oh, okay. I gotta plug in my phone real quick because my battery is dying. Ew. Sooner or later, I'm gonna have to get a new. What you call it?
I love
Phone.
new whatchamacallits.
New. Oh, geez, there goes my camera. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Okay, there you are. There you're back. Oh my gosh. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody.
You're good.
Bear with me. Oh geez. Why are we? This is so not expected. All right. Okay.
This is real life, folks.
This is yeah. Okay. All right, good. All right. So now I'm back. I'm so sorry. All right, let's look at Michelle's birth chart. Okay. So, in this inner circle, like the little inner ring, you can see the numbers. So those numbers are the houses. Do you see the tiny little 1, 2, 3, 4? Do you see those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those are going to tell us her houses.
Okay.
And then it will also, then we remember what Janet said. Janet said, what we do is we go to the house, and that's where something is happening. So if we go to the second house, and that, oh, let's pick something. Yeah, let's go to the second house. Okay, so the second house will be, where are we? Sorry. Okay, there we go. The second house is where, what part of her life? Her resources, her money, personal money, her self-worth, her values, what she prioritizes. How does she prioritize things? How does she look at things? She looks at it in a very Aries sort of way. And so then we look at the keywords of what are Aries. Aries is going to tell us that it's initiative. It's a cardinal sign. It's masculine. It wants to start things. It wants to be a pioneer. It's brave. You know, it's courageous. It's not afraid to do things alone, you know, and leadership, right? And then what planets are there? Well, she's got Chiron and Venus and the South Node. So she's got Chiron, Venus, and the South Node. So then we say, okay, well, Venus is pleasure, what she enjoys, but Chiron is the wounded healer. So she may enjoy this, but she may feel like there are some things that it just doesn't quite work. Like there's some sort of wound, some sort of issue that she's been working on and she quite hasn't figured out. But because it's a wounded healer means that she can help others. She's really good at helping others be brave and do it on their own and, you know, be a leader in their own life. And the South Node is going to say this is kind of her default setting. She does this without even realizing she does it. And she's just, you know, it's just an automatic thing she does. So, you know, we do that and we go around the circle. And then the other thing is that we can look at, let me make sure I'm in frame. We can look at the lines and we can say, Okay, well, is this area of her life being helped by something else? For example, I think it's, yeah, her subconscious. Her subconscious, her mental health, is helping her. She may get some dreams that help her in that area. And how is it being affected in a more challenging way? So we just take one small part of her chart and we look at it that way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. She has a pretty, it's almost like a, this is going to sound funny. It almost looked like a circus tent, but a nice, pretty tent. Not a circus tent. Like the tents out in the desert that were really pretty.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
You bring up another good point. Oh, okay. You were born 3 weeks late. You bring up another good point because we can, like, when you get into more, when you start to go deeper into astrology, these shapes in the middle will have a meaning to it.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, it almost looks like there's a big triangle in the center. So that triangle is to, if somebody has a big triangle, it's why am I losing more? You have a triangle in yours?
Wow.
Big blue triangle.
Yeah, that means this is a natural talent of yours. And that's very good that you don't even, you may have like just go, yeah, big deal, whatever. It's just something that just comes so easily to you that, is such a great asset. And definitely to make more use of that, if that makes sense.
Also have red.
Not everybody has that.
I have a blue triangle and red triangle.
So there are different patterns.
I don't think I have any. Here we go. No.
These are fun. These patterns are fun. But I like hers because it just reminds me of the beautiful tents. I can see harem girls coming out of a beautiful tent.
Oh, like a circus tent?
Well, I saw circus at first.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the beautiful tent out in the desert. So I'm seeing harem girls, like a bunch of I Dream of Genies coming out.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that brings up another good point because this deck, I know I've talked about it before. It is called the astrology learning cards. And it's on Amazon. And it doesn't have really beautiful pictures, but what you just mentioned, it talks about that. It talks about like different patterns. Suppose someone has the pattern of like a seesaw.
Oh.
Or if someone has like all in a cluster. And on the back, it will tell information about, there we go. It'll tell information about that.
These are nice cards.
Yeah, there's some really, and there's there's one deck that I keep contemplating about getting. It comes in a yellow orange box, and I forget what it's called, but it says it's basically looking at the different combinations, like if you have Saturn in Capricorn, or if you have moon in Libra, and what does that mean, and it gives keywords for that. So sorry, I just saw her comment. Michelle said, "This life's a circus, and I'm the ringmaster."
Yes, definitely.
That's so fiery. But
pretty.
I'm the tightrope walker.
yeah.
Be very.
But I know that because the 4 elements is common in the 4 elements we use in tarot and we use in astrology, right? So so here are these have some keywords for the elements. Now, granted,
Did you write on that?
What's that?
Is that your writing on there as well?
Yeah, I started writing more.
Okay.
Because like I said, I have a lot of Gemini. Like
Right.
it just my brain just does not stop.
In this book and wrote them down.
What'd you say, Nancy?
I said I found something similar to that in this book, where like the sun creates, the moon reacts, Mercury thinks, Venus loves, Mars acts. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but bookmark that and let me know later.
Oh, okay. Because it does the signs as well. Aries urgently, Taurus realistically, Gemini intelligently.
Wow.
I just thought that was interesting, the different,
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Aquarius is knowingly.
What's
definitely.
Cancer? What's Cancer?
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
What's Cancer, Nancy?
Carefully.
And Aries?
Scorpio is intensely, and Aries is urgently. Pisces is sympathetically.
I do things carefully, urgently.
Yeah. Well, we are almost going on 2 hours, ladies.
Woo!
So this has been wonderful. I mean, I think this is something. Libra. Jackie wants to know what Libra says. Let me see. Adaptively.
Oh, yes.
Does that sound right to you, Farah?
Oh, yeah.
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 Yes, she's adapted to American time zones.
Yes, she has. Well, I wanted to mention, this has been wonderful, Farah. I have enjoyed it so much. And I have taken notes. I have got such a mess of all the stuff that I have written down. I'm
just talk hours on this, right?
Decipher. Well, yeah, it's like it's like the tarot. You can just go on and on and on. You know.
Yep.
Are you going to say the never-ending story?
Yes, that's what it is.
Such a good movie.
That's what it is. Yes. Oh my. Next week, at the same time, I'm going to have Scott from Scorpio Moon Tarot, and we're going to be talking about spiritual paths and just whatever we talk about. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about, but I hope that you all will join us. And Farah, let's see here. Jackie put Farah's channel up again. We've got 30 thumbs up, and by my count, we had 23 people in the chat altogether. So I think this has been a wonderful learning experience. I know I've learned a lot.
Most
and yes, and I want to thank you, Farah, and Ginger. Thank you for. Oh, Michelle just subscribed, Farah. So, yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess we will head on out, and ladies, would you don't go anywhere.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody. Thank everybody. Yes. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Blessings.